I am Victoria L. Burson. This is Leadership on the Go. Leadership is not always preparedness for the unknown, but it is tapping into the unknown prepared. Good evening, good evening, good evening, and good evening. And thank you for joining us this evening. Listen, before we even get started, let us know where you are hailing from, where you are watching from. Not necessarily where you're watching what screen, but what city and state are you watching from? Let us know, because we like to know, our engineer and our production team likes to know where people are hailing from. But again, thank you and welcome to Leadership on the Go. We have, I'm telling you, it's going down like 4 flat tires. I tell you that every week, and every week it gets better and better and better. We have 2 extraordinary guests with us tonight, right? And tonight it is about trending forward. It's been the whole theme about evolutionizing my greatness and how one trends forward. And tonight, we have 2 guests that have been jolted and thrown, yet they remain grounded, right? And that is so good as a leader, as a person, period. And so we like the fact that they have joined us, and we're going to have a very good, enchanting conversation this evening, talking about how they have manifested forward, right, in the midst of turbulence. So I don't want to belabor the moment. I want to go ahead so we can introduce each one of them, and then they will come and tell you a little more about themselves, and then we'll get started with this conversation. Is that all right, everybody? Hey, remember to like, tag, and share. Like, tag, and share. I'm going to say it again because y'all know I'm a preacher. Like, tag, and share with any and everyone that you can. We will also have this replaying next week and another time after that. So let's get started, if you will. Come on and bring our first guest. Yes. Miss Angela Harvey, hailing from Raleigh-Durham, North Carolina. Let me tell you a little bit about her. From a stutterer to a fluent public speaker, from being a bullied fat girl to a self-confident woman, from a depressed young adult to an emotionally healthy and stable one, and from a grown woman to a woman on the grow. Y'all get that? From a grown woman to the woman on the grow. Angela Harvey, that is, does so well taking the journey with others because she has traveled the journey herself. As she continues her own personal growth journey, she has been inspired to be open to being the guide for others who have a desire to create the greatness they desire and deserve. She is one of the most down-to-earth, and I can tell you, I can witness to that, down-to-earth people. Tell it like it is, engaging and passionate about what she is saying. Her passion for helping grown folks grow up can be heard in her conversations, seen in her intentional actions, and witnessed in her purposeful behavior. For 18 years or more, Angie has worked tirelessly to facilitate, promote, and highlight the importance of personal growth and the necessity for everyone to engage in the activity on mental, emotional, and spiritual health. Oh, did I tell y'all she is also a therapist? Yes, she is. Hailing from North Carolina. So come on, she's a life coach. She's everything. Come on, my sister. Come on board and come on through and let the people know what you're doing right now, right? Because I don't want to spoil it because it's yours, because I'm a part of it, but I don't want to spoil it.
Oh my goodness, I love that. In the end, I'm like, she is every woman. Yay. I'm like, who is she talking about? She's talking about me. Good evening, everyone. It is definitely, I just want to just thank you for allowing me to occupy this space with you. I am very, very honored to be in this space, and honored and a little, I'm not going to say nervous.
That's okay if you are.
Yeah, a little bit. You have said most of what is amazing, but I think one of the biggest things that I'm working on right now, I know it is. In 2019, I was commanded to do a documentary. Actually, no, I was commanded to tell the stories of Black LGBTQ folks. And I've never done a documentary before. I've never even done a storytelling thing, but I've heard a million stories. And I literally made plans to be able to do just that. It had to be halted. COVID happened. But in this last month, in the month of March, as you already know, we conducted 17 interviews with 28 lovers in 5 days. And definitely in the next couple of weeks, there is going to be a completed 6 to 8 episodes docuseries that is going to be called Black Rainbow Love. Blessed to have you be a part of that. And it is every day that we're doing the editing, we're just blown away at the amazing stories, and it's going to be life-changing. It's going to make a social impact. And I know that I was not prepared for what's going to happen when this is unleashed, but I'm absolutely going to hold on real tight.
Yes, yes. Yes, thank you so much for letting us know. Again, she has done this work with her producers around Black Rainbow Love, and one of the ones that she has chosen, and I had a phenomenal time. Listen, some of that stuff that y'all edited, make sure y'all edit, okay? We ain't gonna say no more. I'm just saying. I don't think everybody's ready for that. So anyway, let's move on and bring on our next guest. Thank you, Angie Harvey, for being a part of this.
Thank you.
Dr. Michael Elam, yes, hailing from Brooklyn, New York. I love this guy. I love both of these people. Reverend Dr. Michael Elam received his doctorate of ministry in interfaith theology from the New Seminary, where he was also ordained as an interfaith minister. He's a graduate of Union Theological Seminary, where he received his MDiv in systematic theology. Dr. Mike, passionately known as Dr. Mike, as he is affectionately called, is a lecturer, an educator who has lectured at various seminaries, including Drew University, New York Theological Seminary, Union Theological Seminary, Howard University School of Divinity, Samuel DeWitt Proctor School of Divinity, and New Brunswick Seminary on the topic, The Genesis of Sodom and Gomorrah, a same-gender loving theological reflection. Oh, I love it. Reverend Dr. Mike Elam ministers in several capacities at the St. Paul Community Baptist Church under the leadership of the Reverend Dr. David K. Brawley. Dr. Mike serves as a resident theologian at Sage Harlem at a senior program for elder LGBTQIA people of color. And Dr. Elam is a member of the Phi Beta Sigma Fraternity Incorporated, as you can see that we have on the screen. Come on through, Dr. Mike.
Y'all had to use that picture, right?
Yes, you know I was going to use it. And you mentioned it at the end in your bio. So
I know.
Right on time. Come on, tell the people a little more about you and, you know, anything that I may not have mentioned that you're doing. You do a lot of work with Samuel DeWitt Proctor Conference. Yes. Hail to Samuel DeWitt.
Yes. Hail to Samuel DeWitt Proctor Conference. Well, I have been, during the COVID times, it had these daily prayer services at Proctor. And I was like, well, but they started the full calendar in 2020. So in 2021, it was only part of 2020, so they missed the heavier months, and so they had something for Black History, they had something for Women's Month, and I was like, but wait a minute, let's talk. I didn't come to the table demanding. I didn't come to the table. It's like, y'all can't keep projecting and then don't practice, right? So these organizations have projected, they have proclaimed, but they have not put it into practice. And so I asked them, when you gonna do the LGBTQIA? And they said, well, I just wanted a week. And they said, you get a whole month. You've been giving you a whole month. And that changed the trajectory of my work. It changed the trajectory. But it also was a conversation that started at Proctor Conference in the back room. We wanted to find out who the LGBTQ, scholars are. And we started bringing them together. And it was really about displaying, let's get beyond proclamation and get into the work. So I've been excited and working with Proctor, and I'm excited because you were on top of the list to work with me on the Mrs. JI, the Murray Rustin Social Justice Institute, where we're partners in that, coming together to bring out, to continue to help the conference, and the churches are affiliated, because now the churches are looking, it's like, well, if Proctor's doing that, why, can we do something? So we're laying the groundwork. And so on that level, and another level, I'm not gonna say I'm envious of your introduction of your program. I was taking notes is what I was doing. I was taking notes between you and Kendra Frazier. I was taking notes because I do it in the shift message at 8:10 on Thursday morning. And I like the introduction. I need to work on my introduction, but it just started. So I do what I got to do. So, and daily inspirational messages. I compile them all on Thursday morning. I'm on 8:10. I got people bumping them to be in church. It's like, what time you come on? Oh, like, we don't what? And so So I'm Peacock. In the words of Freddie Haynes, Dr. Freddie Haynes, I'm Peacock proud, love, and glad to be here and be in the presence of Angie and you. I'm just being the present. So for those who don't know, I do live in Brooklyn, New York, and right now it's quiet. I cannot tell you what's going to happen in the next 45 minutes, but it's quiet now. So get the mute button ready.
I love it. And thank you for warning the viewers that he is right there at the window in Brooklyn. And we know all is going to be well. You know what? So thank you both for being here. I am so happy that you're here, and thankful, and thank you again. I can't say it enough that I'm so proud of the work that both of you are doing. Right. And so you both also have something in common. You celebrated birthdays this month. And so or the month of March, I should say, and congratulations to that you celebrate the same month. So let's move on. Let's start this conversation and get this party on the road. So I want both of you, if you will, and this is a question of identity, anywhere from 20 to 30 seconds. If you can shape for us as we start this conversation, who are you and why are you here now? Who are you? And why are you here now? I don't care who starts.
All right, let me just jump in there. The first thing that came to mind was I'm a child of God, and I think there would need to be a little bit of history. I've always been a child of God. I've always been obedient. Didn't know that that's where I was growing to. And I know that I am in this place now only because of him. And I wouldn't have said that 2 years ago. I wouldn't have said that 20 years ago. But today, this very day, I know that it's only by his grace that I am still able to walk and talk and move and breathe. But bigger than that, it's by his assignment that I have kept steady and been resilient. And all that we're going to talk about today, it has mainly been my assignment by my Father that keeps me present in this moment. It's what I do. Yeah.
All right. And so who are you though? Who are you right now? I mean, I want the world to know who you are. I get your relationship with God. So who are you?
Yes. Can I just say that's enough? No, is that not enough? You want something more than that?
I want to know who you are in this moment.
I'm Angela Harvey. I mean, really and truly, I'm giving you what's in my spirit, what's in my heart, and that is first and foremost that I could say that I'm a whole lot of things. I could say I'm a producer. I could say I'm a growthologist. I could say I'm she, her, hers. I could say all of those things. I'm a mother. I'm a Gigi. I'm all of those things. But I'm none of those things without me being the child of God, which is what I'm going to stick to, unless you twist my arm.
All right. No, listen, I'm a twister, so just get used to that. And so I just still want the viewers to hear, because remember, we have different viewers. And so a lot of times when I'm pushing right for our viewers mainly, especially those who are leaders. And so who I am is not about our titles, but who we identify as right now. And so I hear you right now. You clearly are identifying as a child of the Most High God that we serve. Both are serving the divine. Let me just put it that way. Mike, Absolutely. Why don't you tell us who you are? Why now?
I am a child of Barbara and Harold Elam, and the son, and I use Dr. Mike. I used to be offended by Dr. Mike. Mainly because there were people in my church who were getting their doctors who were called full names, right? And I was like, Dr. Mike, why am I reduced to doctor? And then I realized that my father's nickname was Mike. So every time you say Dr. Mike, you invoke my father's name. And so I am my father's son. I am my mother's son. I am my sister's brother. I am the village priest, who I did not call myself the village priest at the church. They called me village priest because we all engaged in sacred memory. And once we all engaged in sacred memory, I found my role. They saw me in my role, right? And so the priest is the one who brings comfort, brings teaching and brings comfort and keeps the rituals alive and flowing. So I'm all these things. I am, I am this educator. I am this voice that has developed to be brilliant and to share and to just enlighten whoever I can enlighten. So in the moment, I am here sitting in this chair, in my blue and black chair, and excited to be here. So yes, I am all of these things, but I am who I am, that I am here.
I like that. I like both of your responses, and they both hail from the divine in the ways in which you see yourself. And the reason we have to ask and push that way, because in our next question, or the next conversation I want to have is like, we understand our identity. So tell us, where are you going? So now that people know who you are and you know who you are and why are you here right now, where are you going? In essence, how are you trending forward personally and professionally? And I'll start with Angela Harvey with that.
All righty then. Thank you very much for that clear direction. I truly appreciate that. And of course, I want to substitute your go for grow. Where am I growing from here? Because that's what I always do. Oh my goodness, I am I'm being elevated. Some of it is even without my permission. I have probably some of what Dr. Mike said in the titles that he gave and who he was. It absolutely resonated with me in that why I stuck to where I was at, because I've had such a challenge with these titles, because to be a friend to me has been hurtful. Me being a daughter to me has been hurtful. I lost my sister a year ago. Me being a sister evokes grief. And so I'm not, without my permission, unconsciously not clung to those titles. I am growing to a place where I'm actually excited about some of those things. It would normally be that I wouldn't ever say to somebody that I was producing and directing and had written a documentary, because those things meant that I was being braggadocious. I was thinking I was better than, and I actually have said to myself a million times, who do you think you are to be doing a documentary? You're not a film person. You're not, but God knows everything that I am, and he gave me the assignment. So therefore I know that I can create that. I am growing everywhere that I'm instructed to go. I will be obedient in that. I am constantly being elevated to a place of places that I didn't know that I was supposed to be. And so I come from a place of helping people, and in my head, it's elevating me. I'm part of a full figure pageant to get over some of that, having to walk in front of people and be the focus of, because no one would believe that those are some anxieties for me, because I speak in front of thousands of people all the time. But when I tell you it's in my contract that you can't introduce me and I walk out because I can't handle that, that's real talk. So I am growing everywhere I'm supposed to grow, and even probably some of the places I'm not supposed to grow, because I can be a disruptor and I can be an agitator at times. And those are things that absolutely need to happen to get things done. I'm going to consistently be a growthologist, helping all grown folks to grow up.
I like that. I like
a growthologist. Yeah.
Yes. And we're going to get to that. Don't y'all jump ahead of me. All right. So, so I like how you say that you're a disruptor, because a lot of times in leadership, people who are called to be disruptive, others want to see them as as not just disruptive, but as something that don't belong, or but we hail disruptors once they are elevated and people can see, and how they can get them 2 and 2 and 2, right? And so I am glad that you named this whole thing around being a disruptor, because I'm one as well. I know Dr. Mike is one. And so we're called to this work, and not everyone is called to the work of being a disruptor, because a disruptor doesn't mean being disrespectful. It just means that we're called to do some things that God has chosen us to do, some of the harder things that somebody else is either willing to do, rather, right? And so I'm glad you named that. Dr. Mike, the same question for you. And, where are you going, and how are you trending forward, personally and professionally, if you will?
Well, it's been an interesting, I'll say, shift, right? Because that's my moniker, right? In this shift. So I'm experiencing so much in this particular shift in my life. I was working in business management. I quit after 25 years. I quit. I wanted to do something different, and I spent a year and a half just writing the book proposals. Just writing a book proposal. I did not know. I just knew I'd be published by now, but I was like, it is a lot of work. So, and I'm doing, professionally, I'm trying to do something on the self-publishing side, and I need some, I'm always looking for avenues and advice. And I'm also working on the formal publishing side. So I'm working on them together, and it's like driving me crazy, but I realized this is where I'm at and this is where I need to be. And it was reminded in my introduction that I need to go back to the basics for the formal publishing of the book, the Genesis of Sodom and Gomorrah. Because I said, I kept saying I didn't want it to be an academic book, but the title alone sounds academic, right? Right. So what am I doing? So just leave it. Just leave. Spirit just spoke to me just 5 minutes ago and said, leave it where it is.
Right.
Change your perspective. It's going to be an academic book. Let it be an academic book. You'll make it. You know how to do footnotes. You know how to do notes. Make it an academic book, and people read it. They don't make it an academic book. You did all this work, right? And so I learned that. And then it's very interesting how life turns. A former partner of a firm that I was working, he left and kept calling me, and I was like, "Why do you keep calling me? Why do you keep calling me?" He said, "I got an offer for you." I was like, "What?" He said, "Hey, whatever you want, let me know. If you only can give me 3 days a week, that's fine. This is what I want, and I'm not working past 2 and a half days."
See what I'm saying?
See, Amen. It was like the answer was like, "Fool, you can't be not working, all this time. Get it together." It was handed to me, and I'm like, let me. So professionally, I'm doing all these other things, and working, and trying to focus on, what I'm working with the Samuel DeWitt Proctor Conference, and trying to get that off the ground, that project, and having these meetings and stuff like that. So professionally, and I'm just all over the place, and I'm over the place, but I'm also in the right space, right? Sometimes shifts are magnanimous, very big, but sometimes you just got to move. You just got to go with the flow. You just got to go with the flow.
Yeah.
Go with the flow.
And I like how you named that you're all over the place, but in the right space. It is okay. And I think the viewers need to know it doesn't matter about our roles, our titles. As humanity, we still all go through change. And change is an opportunity and not a threat. It all depends how we see change, right? And so even in the midst of chaos and turbulence and all this stuff, and we're continuing this conversation, you're in the right space. And so I like how you named and framed that. And I'm giving you credit right now. You're not going to have credit later. So I just want you to know you got it right now. So as we move forward, thank you both for answering the question. So more and more people are realizing the effects of trauma, right, in their lives, and trying to realize and actualize their next steps. How have you understood the trauma in your own life? Because you both have been through some stuff, and how were you able to bounce back and grow, right? Let me ask this again. How have you understood the trauma in your own life, and how were you able to bounce back and grow? Now, y'all give me 30 seconds, because, we got a lot of questions here. Conversation.
Quick.
Let me start with Dr. Mike on this one. Let me start with Dr. Mike.
Go ahead.
What did Raquel Letson said this? Shaky steps. I'm paraphrasing it, but I know it's coming into my spirit. Shaky steps are still steps in order for you to rise, right? They still lead you somewhere. So yes, there's been a lot of physical, emotional, psychological, spiritual trauma that have come through. But at the same time, in the words of Ubuntu, those traumas, there's still triumph. There's still triumph in all of our traumas, right? You just have to recognize that there are traumas and recognize there's a pathway, and understand and examine there's a pathway out of it. And you can use those traumas to make it a better plane and make it a better space. I've used those situations, that knowing that I was making stronger and larger strides, but I was using those experiences to say, this is what I'm doing, this is where I'm going. I remember the first time I went to my church, the former pastor, Bishop Johnny Ray Youngblood, he said, whatever you're going to be a man about it. And if you know Johnny Ray Youngblood, there was a colorful language, so I just left that other word out, right? So you can imagine it rhymes with truck. But I'm just, and I was like, really? What? Be a man, and he was talking to men. So, and he was talking to cisgendered heterosexual men. And then I walk in the room, right? And he said, and I was like, I went home and I was like, no, I'm not doing no more closets. And I come back to the church and I was like, no. But it didn't figure into the conversation, right? So I had to deal with those things. I was like, no, this is where I am. This is who I am. You'll get over it. You'll get over it. You'll get through it. And I realized then, sometimes you're giving, when you acknowledge the things that are in your life, Spirit provides tools. Spirit provides tools. I mean, look at us as a people. I mean, come on. We are the hope and hope and dream of the enslaved. I mean, talk about the trauma. Talk about that kind of trauma, right?
Yeah.
And then, I was, everybody should have this experience. I mean, I know Cancun is appetizing, and Santo Domingo is appetizing. I know all the cruises are appetizing to you. But if you're a person of African descent, if you have not been to the motherland and put your hands on them walls and them castles and them slave dungeons, you don't know what pilgrimage is. You don't know what liberation is. You don't know what healing is. Yeah. That you can stand in and put your hands on those walls that they put their hands on, and you are the hope and their dream. And and you are there, and you are here because of them. What obstacle am I? No. What obstacle? What you gonna do? What obstacle? What trauma? I'm gonna make it. I'm gonna stand. I'm a product of them making it. I'm gonna make it.
All right, Miss Harvey.
I'm just gonna say this, that I am clear that all of my work has been on a job training. So I could not do what I do without the drama and the trauma that I experienced. And it wasn't until I was probably well in my 50s that I understood that. I'm like, okay, God, how come I can't read it in a book? How come I can't get it from a client? Why do I have to experience all of this myself? And he continues to expound on my platform. I just found out a year and a half ago that I was codependent. I've had to detach with love many of my friends and family members. In this last 2.5 years, I've probably spent 90% of that time alone. And when I say alone, I don't mean alone just in this world. I mean alone, living alone, in my head alone, having people literally to take 2 steps back alone, going days without human contact. And that was God. That was God saying to me, will you trust me? Because you have to discontinue trusting in these men and women and trust me. So I thought I was being overlooked. I thought I was being abandoned. I thought I was being left. I thought I was being forgotten. But no, he actually set me apart. He hid me. He preserved me. He protected me and asked me again and continues to do it. Literally last week, I wanted company so bad. My hurt was that impactful. And God had it with somebody. I asked for it now. I know how to ask for it because trauma has showed me that nobody's going to just show up. You have to ask for it, but even in asking for it, it didn't come through. And that was again, he's like, literally, you still looking to man for what I can give you? And I'm here today because he did on that day. And that was just a couple of days ago. So that trauma is real, and it absolutely gives me, it expounds my platform. Each time I grow through something, my second prayer is always, God, when I get through this, I'm going to get my sisters and brothers. Nobody has to go through this by themselves. So now I know why all of my things have to be on the job training with this. And that's one of the reasons why you find me being so very transparent. I'm transparent to a fault because I know there's somebody that will hear me or see me and know that they can grow to a different place.
I like that. I like that. Thank you both for responding. So I'm going to get a little deep and a little nosy, and for the viewers, that is. And so one of the things I want to know, and our viewers would like to know as leaders, right? Because this is leadership on the go. And as leaders, what is the most painful, if you will, experience you've had, recent experience that you've had, maybe the last 5 to 7 years? And how did you, what is it how do I want to frame this? How did you stay calm and present emotionally? So what is the most recent, if you will, or, chaotic, devastating, however you will, without going into the whole deep story, because we got little time and more dialogue. And so what is that thing, and name it, and then how did you stay calm and present emotionally?
Yeah.
Whoever wants to go.
Okay. I'm going to tell you, we don't even have to go back 5 or 7 years. We can go back 5 and 7 days. In this last year, I've lost my sister, and again, several family members and close friends, discovering that I had given people the opportunity and the right to just walk over me, to discard me, to not accept me, not acknowledge me, not appreciate me, not any of those A's that I bring up. And that was, I still feel it. It's been devastating is the only word that I could really come up with. Because even in this moment, there's not anything that I wouldn't do for somebody that I cared about. And seemingly at some point, I was surrounded by people who did not have those same thoughts and feelings about me. And I didn't know. I literally did not have a clue. And it wasn't until I needed. I mean, literally, I went decades without having to. I never had to borrow money from people. I mean, literally could be. I was resilient. I could bring it up. And then my sister passed away, and then I fell out with family, and then my friends wouldn't help, and then I got to ask. So I started asking, and people still didn't show up. So I tell you, devastation. The only reason I'm still here, because of my grandbabies and my assignment. And what's funny is that I so wanted, I so needed something. And my friend said, I went and got a dog. My first thing that I was paid to write was about pets and people. And I was like, I'm never going to get a dog. I'm never dating anybody with a dog. Went and got a dog. My friend said, Angie, he knew you needed something. And what is dog spelled backwards?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. And when I tell you, I've been able to sleep at night. I haven't slept through the night since 2019. And I got Adele. And I've slept every night without a sleep aid. And it's just something. And as a leader, I'm able to take those experiences, and I'm not even going to say be resilient. I grow through it, and I share as much as I possibly can. And I bring people into this fold with me because it's something. It's something. The isolation is just something. I don't think it's anything that anybody could truly understand. Even if you live alone, people go to work. I've been minus a full-time job in the last 7 years. That's a blessing, right? Well, now I'm looking for a job just to be connected with people. And God is obviously telling me that you are to be anew. And that means that I'm having to replace people. And I want so badly for it to be them. And he keeps showing me that it's not. It's not. And that's something. It's painful in this moment to know that when I There's people that don't even know about Black Rainbow Love that's close to me because I haven't been able to share that with them. I mean, so that's something to have, and I have great things to happen to me that I share it with Adele, you know, and I tell myself that's how messed up my world is. I had to go get a dog for companionship, but that's real talk.
Yeah. So speaking of dogs, I don't think that's a messed up thing. I know what you're trying to say, but I don't think that's a messed up thing. I think that's a God sent thing because animals, you know, and I believe in spiritual animals and literal animals. And so, and people say you're a dog lover. And I'm saying, no, I love my dog. But, you know, the thing is we bring to us or God sends to us what we need in the season, in the time, and in the moment. And I know you, and thank you for being so transparent. Because a lot of times as leaders, we think we got to have everything together, right? Okay. And the viewers need to understand that the struggle is real with all of us, no matter how successful we are or have been and will continue to be. So thank you for being so transparent. Dr. Mike, if you will, share with us, you know, the same thing if you can.
I'm, you know, there's so many things. You know, I think, you know, as I had a conversation earlier, sometimes, you know, my pastor shakes his head because I go to, you know, everybody know I go to the left, right? I go to the left. I go to the left of everything. So I'll stick to, you know, I think the most devastating thing was the transition of my mother, yet at the same time was a blessing. Right? It was part of my initiation. Her transition was part of my initiation.
Say more about that.
Well, I was at Proctor 2020. Was it 2020 or 20? Yeah, 2020, because we just met, right? That was our last in-house meeting. And Spirit was moving. Spirit was moving in the church. So people were literally falling out. You see the video, people falling out, right? And I'm helping someone, and Mama Itihari was sitting on the side, and she said she almost moved, but she watched me help her daughter, her spiritual daughter, right? And she was on the floor. She'll tell you she was on the floor with a 100-year-old rug, you know, kissing it, lips all over a 100-year-old rug. And I put my hand down. And I said, you know, I grabbed her hand. I said, it's time, you know, it's time. I got you. It's time to go. Time to get up. And Mama Itihari said later, she goes, you have yet to finish your priesthood initiation, right? So 2020 was the year that I had to redevelop and refocus, and to understand that my mother's sickness and my mother's transition was a part of my initiation, because I walked her through, right, those last moments, just like my father. I walked her through those last moments. And then to utilize that gift once again, where a fraternity brother, tragic, not too far from my house, just a tragedy. And he was too devastated, and everybody, or family members all over the place. I was like, well, who's going to walk his mother from the apartment to the van? There was nobody there to walk her. And I took it upon myself that I learned to walk with my mother, that I used that gift to walk his mother to the van. And then come to find out my sister, the neighbor's mother, died, and she walked her mother to the van. Now, interesting how we able to transform a trauma and a tragedy to a blessing.
Yes.
To a blessing. I don't know how to, you know, had it not been for those things, right? You know, I get upset. I used to, people say, "Oh, your mother showed up." Oh, why did she show up to you? You know, why did she show up to you? But she was reassuring those other folk that she was reassuring the folks that I knew she was all right, right? And so whenever I think of my mother or something like that, I buy flowers. I keep flowers on the altar in front of her picture. It just helps me to just remember, but also helps me to become more focused. I was like, okay, this is going on. I need to buy flowers, right? I need to buy flowers. Buying flowers will help me adjust to this situation. And so that was the most traumatic thing. It happened, yet at the same time, I learned that it was a blessing. at the same time. And I realized that she earned to be an ancestor.
Amen.
You don't become an ancestor, she earned that right to be an ancestor. And I have to, who am I to say, she earned that right. And there are those who become ancestors early, but the reality is they become ancestors and they walk with us and they talk with us. And so tragedy and trauma can turn into peace and joy because, like Jan Levan said, they're right here. They're right here. And it's okay. They're right here.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for that. And so what I've gathered from the both of you, how you remain calm is, the most simplest things. Leaders, are you hearing this? The most simplest things in life can cause you, even out of tragedy and painful things that happen in our world, getting a dog. Dogs are lovable. I mean, listen, they are lovable, right? And animals are lovable. It depends on what animal you like. But there are spiritual animals. There's a such thing as spiritual animals. And so, and then just buying flowers for myself in remembrance of, right? And so, and you mentioned something, I think both of you said it, but differently, that you had to transform. And there was tragedy, but that tragedy helped you transform. Can I add a little bit of something that, to me, this is to me, y'all. This is to me. Tragedy, you can't transform unless you've been transfigured. Yes. Right? And so there are life-threatening things that happen in our world that causes us to transfigure, which causes the transformation. And so it's in those things as leaders and as people who are of this world doing the work of God and the things that we were called to do that, you have to be transfigured to be transformed in order to make change. Yes. And so this is what I'm hearing from the both of you. Even though it brought sadness, it still brings you joy at the same time, right? Absolutely. So you talk about loss, but you also talk about what you gained in that loss, right?
I always say that the lessons are in the valley and they're needed for your trek to the mountaintop. And so I don't ever go to the valley. I don't ever grow to the valley and try to hurry up and get out, because everything I need is in that valley and I'm going to need them on the trek back up. And so if I don't get them while they're there, guess what? That means I'm going to be coming back again. I don't want to do that. I stay with all my lessons while I'm down there, and then I grow onto the mountaintop.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that, because one of my favorite things to say is you can't have a mountaintop experience unless you had a valley encounter. And so, I love that. I love that. Thank you so much. We're going to move on. I want to ask you both separate questions now, and very, very, like in 20 seconds, if you can respond to this. I know I ask questions, they get deep. And I know the talk shows on their hour. People have told me to make it longer. When I had it longer, people say make it shorter. I'm trying to work with your people. But listen, so Mike, Dr. Mike, you talk about Ubuntu, right? UBUNTU. I learned this term through Samuel DeWitt Proctor. I really didn't know of it until I became a part of Samuel DeWitt some years ago. And we really, like a few years ago, really honed on into it as our theme in Ubuntu, which is an African saying meaning I am because you are. Mm-hmm. I know you take pride. You just mentioned it earlier. And I know you take pride in this proverbial saying. How has this shaped you as a leader? How has I am because you are shaped you as a leader?
Well, I've always been this way. If you look on my wall, there are copies of my degree, right? Mm-hmm. My actual degree is here. The copies are here, but you see the copies are autographed. Mm-hmm. They're signed. And I realized that whoever it was, friend or foe, right? Conflict or no conflict, I got this because I didn't get here by myself. I never get any place by myself.
Yes, that's good.
I never get any place by myself. My boss said, "What do you want me to do? Do you want me to sign?" Yes, because you gave me the time. You said I could work part-time and go to school full-time, right? That plays a significant role in order to get that, right? They work their schedule around. And so you never get anywhere by yourself. That's why it's called community. That's why we are communal people. That's why this individualism, I got here by myself. No, you didn't. You know, you didn't get here by yourself. You know, this individualism, you know, the philosophy of individualism is detrimental to Black and brown bodies, because we have to understand that we are because of others, and we didn't get here by ourselves. Nothing
Absolutely.
happened in a vacuum. We got here just like Ketanji said, I didn't get here by myself, right? She basically said, I didn't get here by myself.
Absolutely. So thank you for that. I mean, and so what we've taken away from that conversation with you about Ubuntu is that we can we never get any place by ourselves, right? And that is so true. And I never thought about that, you know, that all of our degrees, I'm looking at some of mine, are signed. And whoever signed them along with other people, we're part of that. I don't even get to this show by myself. I have a group of people who support me. I got people behind the stage that, you know, holding both of my hands up so I don't fail. And if I do, if one hand drops, they are there to catch it. And we can never, ever think that we exist by ourselves in this world. If you're going to be a true human, or you're going to be a true leading human, you got to know you get nowhere in life by yourself. And when you have gotten to where you're supposed to be, I like how the late Dr. Miles Monroe says, you know, that potential is done. So ain't no sense of celebrating all these roles and degrees, because you've already met that potential. Now on to the next one.
Mm-hmm.
You on to the next one, because potential is so fleeting. On to the next one, right? And so thank you for that. So Angela, my sister, our perceptions about ourselves can be altered and modified for the better. I have seen you manifest forward in great strides. What modifications have you made personally and professionally as a leader? But let me more so say as a growthologist, because I love how you call yourself a growthologist. That's the identity, because you are that. And you love to do that. I mean, I like doing that work, but you love doing that work.
Yes.
And it keeps you energized. So what modifications have you made as a leader, as a growthologist, that keeps you energized?
I had to go inward.
Come on.
And take responsibility. People couldn't treat me a particular way if I didn't allow it to happen. People could not do for me if I was doing for myself. I made a commitment in January 2021. I was never going to let me down again. And that's something I can absolutely keep up with. And it's funny that Dr. Mike is saying that no one gets a place by themselves. And sometimes I feel so alone and so by myself. But I know that I'm still like a kid. I'm leaning and laying. I used to be 360 pounds. So I wouldn't ever truly sit down and lay down anywhere. I was always holding up that extra because I was too big. And God said, no, you don't just lean on me. You lean and you lay on me. So I've had to modify everything about who I am, because that person allowed those things to happen. So now when I tell you, God bless you, you make me feel brand new, I feel brand new. And I need you to know that this brand new, everybody don't like. I'm able to say no. I have boundaries. I am trekking this thing and literally having to pat my own self on the back. God said inward and upward. Inward and upward. And if I have to do it, and I keep saying this, if I have to do this without a partner, without a sister, God's got me and I got him. And I hate to believe that's all that's needed. I said sometimes I feel like I'm in solitary confinement and I'm free in my mind. But I'm out of touch. But again, I know that I'm being protected. I'm being set apart for good reason. And that's one thing about I love. I am going to be obedient, and I'm not gonna go choose anything or anyone that's not chosen for me. And so this will have to be. And so I'm having to learn to do that. Go inward and look at what I can do to make things different, and stop looking. And I mean, it just happened. Stop looking for things outside. I'm doing amazing work, and I feel good. But there are some days that I can go from 10 to 2 real quick.
Thank you for being honest about that. You know, going from 10 to 2. That is real talk, right? because the struggle is very, very real. So particularly the higher we go up, the higher we go up in our callings, the higher we do the work that God is calling. It's a lonely place, right? And and no matter how many people we know, it still is a lonely place. No matter no matter what partners we have, no matter our marriage person, you know, it still can be a lonely place. And so I love how you said that going inward, right, help you to grow upward. Ooh, yes, you get one, you get credit for that one time, Angie, and that's right now. Going inward helped you to grow upward. And just understand, and I know you know this, that I'm here for you. We've already had those personal conversations, and Dr. Mike is there for you, and you have a village of people. Part of that is letting us in when that time is, and I know how that is, because I'm kind of stubborn around that too. And it's like, you know, so we are, it's a lot of us who are like that, right? And particularly those who are extremely introverted. It's hard.
It's like we want it. We want it from the people we've given it to. We want it from the people that say they love us. We want it from the people that have known us the longest. And God is continually showing me, I have moved those people out of your way for good reason. You will not bring that old couch back in this house. You will not bring that old chair back in this house. I got new stuff for you. It's in a U-Haul right in front of your house, but you got to move that old stuff out to get it.
Absolutely. And make room for it. You can't make room for nothing in clutter. So hey, y'all, listen. I just felt my help on that one. You cannot make room for anything new with clutter. Right?
I'm borrowing that.
Clutter in the mind, clutter in the heart, clutter. And sometimes, let me tell you what clutter can look like. As well as leaders, we know clutter is saying yes to any and everybody. Yes. And Bishop Yvette Flunder has always taught us as leaders, no is a complete sentence. Yes. No is a complete sentence. Let's move on. This is real good stuff. And so we got a few more minutes, and we're going to go ahead and I read somewhere that our imagination is a great resource and ally. I think this is kind of leading right into this. I read somewhere that our imagination is a great resource and ally. How have you used your imagination to influence other people? 15 seconds.
Wow. I think outside the box. I live outside the box. I don't just think outside the box. And I say things that seem outrageous to other people out loud. And there's never been a time that my being outrageous and a disturber and an agitator didn't move somebody to grow. So I don't keep those crazy ideas, that imagination to myself. I let it out, because even if I can't see it through it, even if it's not for me, it's for somebody else. And I'm clear about that, which is the one reason that I can be transparent in saying that, because many of us keep our crazy thoughts and our imagination to ourselves, or write it down on paper. And I say mine out loud. When I said I want to make a documentary, and I said that to a friend, he's like, okay, let's do it. He put it on the calendar. He had to remind me. I'm like, wait, I don't remember. Oh, so go, Dr. Mike.
Right.
Absolutely. You say it out loud, and you allow somebody else to maybe join in that with you, and everybody can grow. When I grow, everywhere I grow, somebody growing with me.
Amen. Everywhere. So, Dr. Mike, how have you used your imaginations to influence others?
I would say, and I had a recent experience with some seniors that I gave them permission to imagine. So I take my gift of imagination and I allowed them to imagine, right? Imagine what this ritual would look like. And these are women in their 70s. And I mean, just watching watching them using their imagination as far as a Zoom call, and far as PowerPoint, and far as backgrounds, and they would just do it, and songs and poems and this, and it was just using their imagination, that when we finally did it, I couldn't contain myself. So I help people I think I influence people to use their imagination. Just use, what do you do? Use your imagination. It's yours, not mine. I can only guide you.
That's good. That's good. You can only guide people, right? With your imaginations. But we have to know, as leaders, when we utilize our imagination to influence others, because influence, I know John Maxwell likes to say, leadership is influence, nothing more, nothing less. But to me as a Black leader, influence is more, leadership is more than just having influence, right? It's adaptability, and it's how you utilize that influence to adapt, right? Because a lot of leaders cannot adapt to change, and it has shown forth in this COVID season, right? And so I want to ask you, thanks for answering that, and I want to ask you both as Black progressives, what makes you tick? As Black progressive leaders, what makes you tick?
People that dispense information without teaching application. I believe it should be a law when you are able and willing to dispense information. If you're not teaching the application, the color of their world never changes. If, in fact, they don't know how to apply the paint, the color of their world never changes. So people have read books and heard sermons and they're going to hear this word. The application of what they hear is what's going to change their lives. Hearing, and I think people do that all the time, especially pastors. They dispense a lot of information, but they don't teach the application.
All right. We ain't gonna get in trouble on this show, y'all. Y'all do know the pastor and preacher. Yeah, y'all ain't gonna get me in trouble on this. Listen.
Relate.
What's that commercial? The words of Angela Harvey and Dr. Mike are not necessarily in. Okay, well, I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying, yeah. But that's a whole different norm because we're taught how to do sermons and how to, extrapolate and but I get what you're saying. That applying real life. I got somebody behind the scenes that's very, very good at doing that. And so, I get what you're saying. So Dr. Mike.
I'm just so into what Angie said. I was like, what am I supposed to ask? What was the question?
As Black progressive leaders, what makes you tick?
I don't know if it makes me tick. I don't know if anything particularly makes me tick. I think I'm just doing the work. I'm just doing the work. I mean, that's all I can think of. I don't know if I don't know. I'm just led by spirit. I just move.
So that's what makes you tick, the Spirit of God. Even if you're led by that makes, there's something that always get us going. There's something that always energizes us, like the energized bunny that we just can't put down or we can't let go. And so that makes us tick and keeps us, going. It keeps us fueled, even in the midst of turbulence. That thing still keeps us fueled, right? And so I just kind of wanted to put that out there. So what is your superpower, Dr. Mike?
Me.
Yeah, what is your superpower?
Me.
Oh, you saying me? Oh, like me?
Me.
I love it. I love it.
Me.
I love it.
I mean,
I love it. That's the first time somebody's responded that way. But I love that.
Who else is going to get up in the morning, right?
Yeah.
Me. Who's going to write these sermons, write these books, challenge people to think? It's me. So, not as an I thing, but as a me thing. I'm here because of, the universe wants to use me. My
not
authentic
the I
self.
thing, but the me thing. I like that.
Yeah, not the I thing. Well, that's a shift message. Let me write that down before I forget.
I know, right? You're gonna get credit. I'm stop saying.
I'm doing listen. I'm recording myself, so it'll be up this week.
Right.
I'm just realizing that. I'm just realizing that you asked me what made me tick, and I'm thinking what made me tick off. But that's okay. It still was a good answer. My passion is absolutely my superpower. It keeps me going and growing to no end. And of course, my passion comes from God.
Absolutely. And we know that passion leads us to purpose. And so that is a really good superpower to have, because without passion, our purpose is lost. Yes. So when people say they don't know when people tell me all the time, Coach V, I don't know my purpose. I'm like, follow your passion. Right. Go and write down the things that you've liked about yourself in the last 10 years and the things you didn't. Your passion will show up. Right. Yes. And so that's a really good superpower. And the me, not the I, but the me is a superpower too. That is really, really good. And so just probably a couple more questions here, and then we're going to close this conversation. How do you measure success?
For me, it's lives changed. I've never worked for money. That is not my mission in life. God did not say, go help my people if they can pay you. He said, go help my people. So lives change. When people say, you've changed my life, you've changed my relationship, you've helped me this, helped me that, that's all. It doesn't pay a bill, but it pays my heart bill. It pays my spirit bill. And guess what? In the end, that's the only bill that you need paid. So it would definitely be that.
Okay. Dr. Mike?
How
do you measure success?
That is, so whatever I was working on is it's done, and lives are changed. Lives are changed. The comments, I'll say this, and I recently had a conversation with somebody at a conference on Friday. There are people who, you go to seminary and you want to, and people put on you should be preaching. You should see, and I'm like, no. And I introduced a book by Daniel Black to the church. The entire church read it, right? A 14-year-old girl read it and took it to school and said, y'all need to read this book, right? The Coming by Daniel Black. And I said, that was my measure of success. I could preach 100 sermons, but that life-changing moment,
right? That
14-year-old girl, that struck out for me more than anything else in the world. That she took it upon herself to say, y'all need to read this book about this is the book of slavery you need to read about. And so that one little thing was a measure of success for me.
That's good. So what I hear both of you kind of saying for our viewers is that, do we have any questions out there? Viewers, you can send in 1 or 2 questions if you have any for our panelists. I forgot to mention that earlier, but if we have any, let us know. But what I'm hearing is anything that help people get from point A to point B, right? Because we are developers, and we develop people.
Yes.
We develop people. We develop people to grow and go.
Yes.
They ain't meant to stick around us forever. We develop them, we grow them, and they go, right? And so, and that is the sign of a true leader, right? Developing people, those who are called to that development work.
Absolutely.
All right. Type your questions if you have any, viewers. Got about 3 or 4 minutes, and we'll ask any questions that you have of either one of our guests. So, who inspires you? Who inspires you? Like right now, who inspires you? Dr. Mike.
I'm inspired by people that have less and do more. And I see those people all the time. I mean, and I think I'm inspired by those people, because I can always say to myself, if they can do what they can do, oh, surely, Angie, you can keep growing. So I'm inspired by that. So it's nobody famous, it's those everyday people that you see making $1 out of 15 cents. Those people inspire me.
All right. Who inspires you, Dr. Mike?
I'm inspired by all these, I mean, mostly women who have these digital hush harbors. Though that's my inspiration as I further develop this pattern and this voice in my own hush harbor, watching and listening and taking notes from these individuals who are doing this type of work. And I think it's important. I think this is, I know you've been doing this for some time, but at the same time, COVID has just created this energy of people developing these spaces and places, just to give a word of encouragement in the midst of all that's going on. So yeah, I applaud those people. People like you inspire me that I could do it, and I can make it. I can make my platform better. There's room to grow in my platform.
Oh, thank you for that. And you both inspire me. All my guests inspire me. You two, really, I admire you both. And so time is up, and we are out of time. And that is our show for the evening. Yes. We just want to say thank you to Angela, Harvey, and Dr. Mike. Thank you so much. We're going to now just listen for our announcements and for who our next guest is, and then we'll be back. All right. Our next show in 2 weeks, we continue evolutionizing my greatness. This will be a special edition with Bishop-elect Troy Sanders. Bishop-elect Troy Sanders will be our guest, and it's going to be even more exciting. And we are going, let me read to you. It says, hashtag Pastor Extraordinaire, more than the overcomer. Join us for this exclusive with one of the most compelling cutting-edge church leaders as he shares how he reinvented himself and reimagined church pre and post COVID. I've been knowing Bishop-elect Troy Sanders since 1999. We've been knowing each other that long. We've been doing a lot of work together, and I always seem to follow behind him, you know. And so we'll share that story the next 2 weeks on April 24th. Listen, what's the next announcement we have? Yes, the woman behind the scenes, my producer, my engineer, OG. Don't stand for original gangster, but that's what I call her. But it does stand for only greatness, right? And she specializes in live streaming production, graphic design, multimedia production. So if you need her, you can contact her at 240-988-3967. If that's too fast, just get in touch with me and I will give you her information. Yes, she is still open for business. And I want to bring my really good friend. I know she's going to break my neck, but I want to bring her on anyway, because I'm going to do a show called Who Does That? Right? This is Reverend Elder D. Parrish Harris, soon to be Bishop Parrish Harris. She just comes backstage. What bishop does that? Just comes backstage and holds her friend up, and she supports me. She's been supporting me since 2014 when I arrived in Maryland. She was one of the first that called me. How you doing? Do you need anything? She was one of the first to pick me up, took me to a concert with Unity Fellowship. That's how I engaged with them. Unity Baltimore and Unity Columbia, and I just love her, and I am always going to show her off as long as she's around, even if she don't like it, because I'm one of those people like Angie and like Dr. Mike. I go left on everything. So she didn't ask to be introduced, but I want people to understand what leadership really is. This emulates leadership. She doesn't have to be present at my show, right? But she is, and she's there to support me. If anything happened to me, she picks up for me. And so she's been at every show this season. Who does it? Today was Palm Sunday, a busy Sunday for pastors. And so thank you so much. I appreciate you. I love you. Thank you, viewers, for watching, for being present. Thank you again to our guests, Angie Harvey, and I'm so excited about your documentary. I was excited being a part of it. I can't wait. I saw the clips of it. I can't wait till you expose it to the world. Let's still talk about them edits. Dr. Mike, I am enjoying working with you with Mrs. J.I. With Samuel DeWitt Proctor Conference. Not every, let me put it this way, not every heterosexual Black organization is willing to open themselves up for the LGBTQIA community and expose us in ways. There's still a lot of work to be done, but listen, they're doing the doggone thing, and I appreciate that. Right. And of course, those leaders, Dr. Jeremiah Wright, Dr. Freddie Haynes, and Dr. Mama Iva Carruthers. And so I really, really appreciate them allowing this work and allowing you and you representing us. And you have been for years. And I say thank you for doing that work. I love you both. And stay there and stay right there in that space. And we'll talk in a minute. See y'all later. See you in 2 weeks. Love you. Thank you for supporting us. Listen, if you want to support the men, people say it's a ministry, it's leadership on the go. If you want to support it, inbox me. I'll give you ways that you can support us. Okay. Thank you. God bless you. Follow us on IG as well, Facebook and LinkedIn and YouTube. Thank you for that, producer.